What about the way that the supply chain actually works with the industry? Because we are conceivably having this the ability to, I suppose, almost reduce the supply chain's route to market by adopting the kind of, I suppose, the Amazon approach of you put drawings out and people can electronically tender. You can pull things in from all over the world, and the supply chain basically is there as, I suppose, a much harder worked commodity supply. Is that good? Is that where we're going? Is that the way we're going to really drive cost savings into the supply chain?
I think it's interesting when Paul Morrell first picked up the strategy. He said this is a double-edged sword. Mm-hmm. The reality is we will drive massive savings through what we're doing, and we're seeing that already. 20%. The numbers are big. They're big numbers. The reality is, though, when you start to have standardised processes, you open the market. And we're already seeing a chancellor who's inviting overseas suppliers into our supply chain, which is, that's him opening the markets. That's him doing what a Tory type government would do. But as soon as you level the playing field, actually that becomes the norm. And so what does that mean? You're absolutely right, and for sure you'll see more competition. Mm-hmm. Will you see more consolidation? Probably, because competition drives consolidations, drive the unit cost down. So yes, I suspect that will be the case.
And also breaking out or breaking down of silos, so that companies are offering services across a wider range of areas.
Well, I think as soon as you start to look at a cost measured scenario with complete transparency, the silos can only be interpreted as cost. Mm-hmm. And so absolutely, if you interpret that silo as a cost, you remove it. That's part of the competition. Yeah. And you'll start to see that. I think also if you start to commoditize assets, and clearly do not read into the fact that I want to see a fully commoditized built environment. I want to see the diversity that we've got in the UK is absolutely part of our culture and our heritage. But to standardise some of the components that are hidden from view, particularly around M&E and structure, actually, that's where you're going to start to drive more cost down. And the same around residential and housing.
Yeah. So we're working here tonight with Bentley. I suppose you would describe it as a software company that comes from the geometry derived data. Are you seeing companies like Bentley really getting their head around this need to actually get involved in the wider use of data?
For sure. I mean, Bentley have got a strategy which is all about being in the centre of this debate. There's a much wider debate around data and around smart cities and around smart people and personal data and social media. It's all starting to blur, and clearly Bentley and their competition have got to carve out a segment of that market, and they've done a very good job of carving out the delivery and operational part of that. They know that data has to be fed out into these other markets, and that's where they're starting to explore. And I think the reality is every other industry has come from data to us. We're going from geometry and us to data, and that's there's going to be growing pains in that journey. We see lots of overselling in the smart city market. Loads of lack of clarity around the smart city market. Actually, I think construction's got a massive opportunity to take the smart city market, because we are the only organisations that have all the data that atomically describe buildings, and that's kind of what a smart city needs to be able to function and operate. So there's loads of opportunities. And I think these guys are in a spectacularly good position.
But it is about convincing and persuading owners, operators towards a whole life costing model. It's about persuading them towards an outcome driven future. Is that the big challenge, to try to get owners to think about to move on from thinking about just today to think about, well, what does their asset need to look like in 20 years time?
Well, let's be clear that when you're a funder, there are two slots in terms of buildings on a balance sheet. There's a capex slot and there's an opex slot. You won't find a totex one. There's no way of financially measuring that on a balance sheet, so it becomes a really vague term when you put it in front of an accountant. The fact we're putting it in front of Treasury, and Treasury can't find a slot for this number that we're talking about, makes it a really hard conversation. So yes, in principle, totex, total cost of ownership, is fundamentally important. But people who only get measured by capex will always behave in reducing a capex number. Yeah. People are always in the same with opex will be driven. As we see, I suspect continued devolution of services out to local authorities, and more responsibility and budget going out to local authorities, their focus is around services. And they've got a different agenda because they need to deliver a service for less money. So I think that's probably when you'll start to see the TOTEX debate really take hold.
Because that's where you start focusing on customers, start focusing on, I suppose, the people actually using the infrastructure.
Which gives you a right-leaning strategy, for sure.